negative seconds. The reason we can do the 100% is because somebody can get the first, and I mean, we do the first also, but first is the dime a dozen. Is the second, which is very difficult. The second, how we do it is we make them very, very secure. And most people think in the market, if it's a second, people are, oh, second is so scary, it's bad. It's like I always ask them, if you ever owned a house, and if you had a bank as the first, then what is your position? Second. What if you had a Bank of America as the first and Wells Fargo as the second, and you own the house? What is your position? You're third. So why are you second? Actually, if you do a second on a property, you are actually ahead of the owner. So it's just all in the mind. As long as you have equity, second should not be problematic. The only problem in doing a second is there's a default, if you have to take over the property, then you have to do something called foreclosure. And foreclosure can take a long time depending on the state, but I have found the solution. So we never ever foreclose. Because, and I was very happy because, yeah, something like that. What we do is, we basically, land trust is only one of the options. I mean, our borrowers almost never will buy as a human being, as an individual. We actually discourage that. I mean, sometimes we deny that. But, so the buyer has to buy either as an LLC or a land trust or a corporation. I cannot dictate which one, but it will be one of the three. So if they buy one of the three, our second lender gets two things. First, it gets the deed of trust, this one. Also gets a lien on that entity. So, and it's collected through UCC. So if the stock of the entity is put as collateral. So if something happens, they will go to the judge and they will take over the stock of the company or membership of LLC or beneficial lender, whichever it is. And thirdly, what we do is the lender also becomes a second beneficiary of the land trust or a member of the LLC or a stockholder of the company, a small one, and then they have a beneficial agreement. It's a simple agreement, it's not real estate, it's the agreement between the beneficiaries or between the LLC members, which says that if the other member doesn't do this, this and this, then all the membership comes from, or ownership comes from him to me. So it works basically the three: beneficial interest, LLC membership, and stock ownership is, you can interest, whichever it is. But with that, you can take over the entity that owns the property. So without foreclosure, you can always get the property. So the second is, if the property is good enough for you to buy, it should be good enough for you to do a second. But again, all of these things don't matter, because I never used any of this. Because the reason I never used any of those, I mean, I used those, but I never had to enforce any of those. The reason is because every 100% of the time, if something happens, the borrower voluntarily gives us the deed. Here's the reason. All our loans have a personal guarantee. That means I can go after them for everything, and it's very aggressive. So what I do is, when the default happens, and look at this, our borrowers don't live in the house. Their only purpose is to make money. And if they find out the project is failing, they're not going to make money for whatever reason. I say to them, okay, you have a guarantee and you have a deed. So if you give me the deed voluntarily, you save the trouble of foreclosure. Foreclosure doesn't get into your record. You save all the trouble. And what I do is I throw away the guarantee paper. So we depart as friends. Next time you have a deal, come to us. They always give us all this. So that's the practical way, but in case they somehow don't want to, then I have all the other code. So that keeps our seconds super safe. And that's also how I do loans in states like New York and New Jersey, where foreclosure is impossible. Like they take 2 years. So I do it like this. I do it like this because with these methods, it's better. So you can use that company to actually do the same thing as foreclosure instead of, you're basically taking over personal property instead of real property. So these are, also another thing is, we actually, that's how, Duncan came here, we actually run the real estate clubs all over Los Angeles, and some of you have come to my clubs. It's in the back of my card, it's called, it's also in the thing, it's the megamastermind.com. It's not there. But if you go to the fundingwarehouse.com, there is a link also, it says clubs. So that basically gives a link to all of our clubs. We have one in San Fernando Valley, we have one in Roland Heights, we have one in Torrance, and we have one in Newport Beach, and we are going to have one in San Diego. So we kind of, all over Southern California. So those clubs, every time I bring different speakers, and it's an excellent place for us to network. And for me, the biggest benefit I do get is from the clubs, I get deals. So we get a lot of deals, and we do a lot of deals, and because
so that's your marketing. You don't really need to.
I don't have to any other marketing. I mean, so far clubs and people bring people. They have a friend who has a deal, and by me doing that every time, I teach them how to do different things, and then they bring us the deals. And that's how our club is completely non-profit. It's actually, except one of them, everything's free. There's no, we don't charge anything to get in or something. We actually spend money because it's our marketing dollars. So.
And you feed us all
Yeah.
drinks and wine.
And wine, yeah. All our clubs have unlimited alcohol. Because I believe in either after work people are tired, so we let them wine and cheese and whatever. So that is our thing. Another thing I wanted to also mention is if somebody is thinking of it, we also do what is called affiliate program. That means our lending, as a lender, we are always looking for more borrowers and more lenders. Right? So if you bring either a borrower or a lender, then we give you a part of what you make. And we can, I can discuss more details. But if you're ever interested in making money with us, if you know a borrower or if you know a lender, we always will compensate you very, very handsomely. And we can train you and teach you how to do that. Also, recently I started doing what is called the apprenticeship program. Because a lot of people spend a lot of money on different things. I said, okay, you can just learn with us. Sit in our, the funniest thing is there's a course called Banker's Code. They teach you how to lend money, and they have something called experience, where they play with some fake notes and fake loans. We actually tell them, oh, it's fake. Come for free, sit in our office, and we do at least 2 or 3 loans a week. You sit the whole week, you see 2 or 3 loans done. I mean, that's free. So we also encourage, we actually have a lot of interns now, where we, by doing the loans, they know exactly what we are doing. And then for us, the advantage is we get some work done and we get deals. So this is all the things that we do. And yeah, unless you have any question, I mean, that will be the end of Capture 2. I came today because tomorrow I'm going to San Jose. We have a booth in an expo in San Jose. So we do a lot of these kind of events just to attract our clients.
With Linda.
Linda, yes. And she just texted me that there was a slot for me to speak. So
Oh,
I'm
good.
tomorrow.
Good for you. Well, keep talking because I'm not done with the donut. Duncan, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'm actually speaking in Linda. People who know the Banker's Code, I used to be a business partner of George Anton before the course was started. So I know the Banker's Code thing very well. So I also teach. All the same thing. At that time, it was like 2006. We used to call it the private lending class. It was like very informal, like I usually don't have slides and stuff, I just talk. And so George and I used to just talk like this, like whatever came to our mind, whatever good came to our mind, just talk like this. But then, of course, I left, I had my own issues, I moved here, and then that thing was packaged to become the Banker's Code. And I deal with a lot of the Banker's Code students, and it's so funny, because Banker's Code says, after taking the course, you should teach these 10 questions, ask the 10 questions to the broker. So some of the Banker's Code students would find me on the internet or something, and they will say, okay, I want to ask you this, number 1, number 2. And I said, oh, is there next question there? How do you know? I wrote that. I was one of the authors of Banker's Code. So that has become so funny. But yeah, so we actually so I'm very familiar with, and I'm always trying to get new products and new ideas, and just to make the Earnest Money program was awesome. We kind of created it, and that became a super safe. Nothing can be more safe than lending earnest money, but nothing can be more beneficial than borrowing earnest money. This is a really win-win for both parties. And right now, what happens is all our lenders, private lenders, they like to lend on earnest money than anything else. So now I put them on a point system. Unless you lend something else, you cannot lend earnest money. It's a waiting list. With earnest money, we fund anytime we can fund the next day, because we have people waiting in line for that, because they get their money back in 30 days. And also what we do is, for a new lender, somebody who is kind of thinking, should I do lending or not, I say, do one earnest money. Because once they do that one, then they kind of get into our
Can you explain a little more about the program for 713 blended 1 4 points?
Oh.
Maybe, I mean, just kind of
Yeah, then
Your
think.
loan to value, that's for hard money.
Hey, could I actually say, can we take a break for 10 minutes and you could ask private questions to him because we're running a little bit behind.
Late, yeah.